Today is an exciting day because today is the day that I make a big investment in this channel for the future. And that investment is this, the Apple M1 MacBook Pro 13-inch. I decided that today was the day that I needed to really invest in this channel, in my production values, in the way that I edit. If you've been following me for any amount of time, you'll know that my channel has really started to grow recently. And up until now, I've been doing all of my edits off of my iPad Pro. And this works for the most part, but it really isn't a proper workflow, and that's where this MacBook comes in. I've been following the news on the M1s and I've heard a lot of good things, and I mean a lot. Like, these things are stupid powerful and actually didn't cost as much as I expected. So I went with the 8GB of RAM and the 256GB of storage. The main reason I went with that low storage is I already pay for 3TB of storage on iCloud anyway. So whenever I finish with a project, it goes straight up onto iCloud. I only really keep one project's worth of videos on here at a time, so 256 is fine. And in terms of 8 and 16GB of RAM, I get that 16GB is probably future-proofing myself, but 8GB is more than enough for 4K video editing, and that's what I plan to do here. So what this video is it's not going to be a full review because there's been a lot of those already on YouTube. This is just something that I wanted to share with you guys. We're going to unbox it, take a look at it, get it all set up, and just see how it goes with my workflow. So I plan to use DaVinci Resolve from now on for all of my video edits rather than Final Cut Pro. So we'll see how it handles it, and we'll just see how much of a beaut this is. So let's get right into unboxing this thing. But of course, if this is the first time that you're seeing my face on your screen, then 1, lucky you. And 2, go down there, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification icon so you get notified every time I upload. But let's get right into the unboxing of the M1 2020 MacBook Pro. Okay, so here we are. In terms of specs, this thing's pretty good. So it's obviously got that M1 chip in it. I've got the 8-core and 8-core graphics chip as well. I'll put all of the specs on the screen somewhere. This is of course using that new ARM chip. Basically the same kind of chip that you get in your mobile phone or with the tablets or whatever. So this is very much a first generation product. This is the first M1 based Mac. I expect them to release a lot more in the future, but I knew I needed to get in on this quite quickly because the battery life claims are just insane. So let's go ahead and just get right into the box. We've obviously got that nice little Apple peel tab, so let's give that a tug and hope that it starts to peel itself. Cool, blimey. Okay, that didn't that didn't work at all. We've just got the sticker. How did that not work? Okay. So just while I struggle with this, let's talk about some of those claims. So they say this can do 20 hours of battery life, and that's pretty incredible. And that is things like web browsing. Now, one thing to mention is a lot of the apps that I would normally use every day, and that many people would use every day, in particular the Adobe suite, are not optimized for this new to run on this new chip. So this new ARM chip is a whole new architecture, so apps will need to be rewritten for it. Many normal apps like Photoshop and Premiere Pro can be run through something called Rosetta, or Rosetta 2 to be precise, but it isn't a great experience from what I've seen. So if you do get one of these, expect that slow down until the proper M1 version of the apps that you use comes out. So let's lift the lid and take a look at what we've got. And there we have it. I went with the Space Grey model, and what I'm going to do is just drop it off to the side here, just while we take a look at what else we get in the box. We do of course get a USB-C to a USB-C cable, a nice and long one as well, which is always useful. We get the paperwork, which is going to be the normal Apple affair, I'm sure. We're even going to have those Apple stickers. Here's a question to you guys. Tell me in the description down below, do people actually use these stickers? Because I have an absolute ton of them from all the Apple stuff that I bought over the years, but I don't think I've ever actually used one. So, I don't know, maybe it's just me and I just don't use stickers that often, but yeah, I don't use stickers everywhere. And we of course have the adapters. So we've got the UK plug and the big old adapter here. I actually don't know what this is wattage wise, so let's just peel off all of the paper. Take a look on the bottom here. I don't know if it's going to tell us. 61 watts. So this is a 61 watt fast charger. And we're of course gonna just take that off there and slide that down. Now the main reason I didn't go with the MacBook Air is because of the no active cooling on the Air models. So I would prefer active cooling when it comes to a laptop. I know that does mean there's more things to go wrong, but it means that we get that slight better performance. So here's the device itself. Let's just peel off the back here and give it a slide. Drop that off to the side, and there we have it. Oh, this thing is a beauty. Wow. Okay, so let's lift up that lid. Oh, and straight away, it chimes at me, it's loading up. That's great. So let's peel off this screen protector here. And we can see that nice chiclet keyboard and the touch bar as well. So this is something that the Air doesn't have. The Air doesn't have that touch bar, whereas the Pro does. So if that's something that's important to you, it's something that you need to keep in mind. We won't go through setup just yet, but I'm just going to close down the lid so we can take a look around the device at what we have.
To use English as the main language, press the return key.
So, as in terms of input, we literally have 2 USB-Cs. That's it. That's all we have input-wise. These are Thunderbolt or USB-C ports. Only one of these can be used for an external monitor. You can only connect up 2 monitors to the M1 Max for the moment. So obviously there's one screen and then one monitor. And on the other side, we strangely have a 3.5mm jack. I don't know why Apple haven't bothered to put one on a MacBook when they've basically got rid of it everywhere else. So let's go through setup and take a look at it. But in general, I am so impressed by the look and feel of this thing. So let's go through setup and then we'll come back to it when it's ready. Okay, so now that's all set up, we are, I'm really liking this thing already. The keys just feel nice and clicky and tactile. It's almost like having a mechanical keyboard, but with basically no travel. Along the top here as well, we have that Touch ID, so it's really easy to unlock and pay for things with this device. But in general, I'm so pleased with this. I've got a nice big touchpad along the bottom with the not real click but force click feedback, which is great to see. And yeah, so I guess I need to start downloading some stuff onto here and getting it ready, because there is so much stuff that I want to download on here and play with. So I'll check back in with you once I've downloaded something and give you my first thoughts on how I'm getting on with the device. Let's go. So I've been using the MacBook Pro for about 4 days now, and in that time I've had to charge it just twice. And to show you just how impressive that is, these haven't been small tasks. These have been things like video editing, photo editing, and maybe some casual YouTube and such. The battery life is absolutely incredible on this device. I am honestly blown away. If you want something that you can use as a daily driver and not have to worry about charging it once, maybe twice a day, or even for 2 or 3 days in a row, then this is highly recommended. Obviously you can go with something like the Air, but with the Air you are dropping some of that battery life. So if you want something with stellar battery life, this might be your guy. In terms of actual performance too, I've been blown away. Now admittedly, all of the apps I've been using have all been M1 optimized. These are things like DaVinci Resolve, which have just had an update for the M1, Photoshop's beta M1, Safari. all of these apps have been specifically built to run on this hardware. I haven't had to use Rosetta Rosetta 2 to be precise, for any of these tasks. And I think this proves a very good point. These apps have run incredibly. They haven't hiccuped, they haven't slowed down at all. Even with two or three 4K streams running at once in DaVinci Resolve. But that's because they're optimized. If I decided to load other apps like Premiere Pro or After Effects, these don't have M1 versions natively yet, and performance isn't that great there. So if you decide that you want to get one of these, you will have to play by Apple's rules, and that's really key with the M1 Max. If you're not using the native software, your experience may well vary from what I've seen with the performance. So let's actually talk about Big Sur as well, because that was quite a big update in terms of the actual Mac itself. We now have access to iPhone and iPad apps, which is cool. It's really good to be able to have some of the apps that we might not normally be able to get on a laptop environment or a desktop environment. Some of these apps don't work very well because touch support has been kind of botched, I guess. Basically, your touchpad acts as the touch screen, so you can do multi-finger gestures much like you can on a phone screen, but it's a little bit awkward and will take some getting used to. But things like Instagram and such work very well in app format on the MacBook Pros. Obviously, we get AirDrop, we get Messenger, we get Handoff, we get all of that stuff which is heavily baked into the Apple ecosystem. I am heavily baked into the Apple ecosystem as it is. I'm shooting on an iPhone 11, I've got my iPad Pro here, I've got an Apple Watch. Everything I do is based in Apple, so it made sense for me to go for a device like this, just because everything I use is already here. As soon as I'm finished with this video on my phone, it will automatically propagate to the iPad. And same with the audio. My audio is on the iPad, that will propagate to the Mac, and so will that video. So I don't have to faff about with moving stuff from point A to point B, which is great to see. So overall, what do I think of the M1 Mac? For my use case, I absolutely love this thing. I think this is perfect for anyone who really wants to get into the Mac systems now. If you're just about to buy a MacBook Pro or a MacBook Air and you're trying to debate between Intel and M1, I would go with the M1. If you are a creative like myself, you do a lot of video editing, a lot of photo editing, you might want to hold out. They've got some others coming which are slightly more powerful, and some of the apps that you might use every day just simply aren't here yet in their M1 format. If you can put up with some dodgy Rosetta performance at times, then it's still a very good laptop with interstellar battery life. With that being said, guys, have you picked up one of these M1 Macs? Be that the Mac Mini, the MacBook Air, or the MacBook Pro? If you have, tell me what you think about it. Of course, I've got a ton more content coming up, including a review of the ever-fun massage gun, which I think will be an interesting one. I've done a couple of massage guns in the past, and this one is looking to be the most powerful I've ever used, which I think will make for an interesting review. Anyway, guys, my name's been Robert, this has been Review Clue, and I will catch you in the next one. Adios.